Every year in September, a specific kind of gridlock paralyzes Manhattan. Black SUVs with tinted windows line the streets. Police escorts shut down major thoroughfares. And thousands of unelected foreign diplomats, corporate CEOs, and NGO directors descend upon the United Nations headquarters. To the mainstream media, this is the pinnacle of human progress. They call it a triumph of multilateralism and a gathering of the global community. But if you look past the expensive suits and the high-minded rhetoric, you're looking at something entirely different. You are looking at the globalist handshake. Behind closed doors at these summits, a quiet, calculated shakedown is taking place. Under the guise of sweeping international agreements like the UN's Pact for the Future and their permanent sustainable development goals, unelected global bureaucrats are drafting blueprints to manage the world's resources, censor the digital public square, and dictate economic policies. They present these pacts as voluntary gestures of global goodwill. But the ultimate objective is clear: to bypass the U.S. Constitution, strip the American voter of their remote control, and to subordinate American sovereignty to a centralized globalist authority. We have to look at the actual text coming out of these summits, because the professional left loves to use the UN as an outsourced legislative branch. They know they can't pass their radical green energy mandates or total financial tracking through a sovereign U.S. Congress that actually answers to the people. So, they execute a globalist workaround. Take a close look at the UN's framework on global digital cooperation and AI governance. Under the banner of online safety and combating disinformation, these international agreements establish global frameworks for data governance and centralized digital rails. They want to create international panels that dictate what constitutes acceptable speech on the internet. This is the protest industrial complex operating at a planetary scale. They are building a mechanism where a global panel can pressure big tech monopolies to silence independent media, shadow ban conservative voices, and suppress political dissent, all under the excuse of complying with international norms. They are trying to build a global digital panopticon where the First Amendment is effectively neutralized by Handshake in New York. If an independent American citizen questions a climate mandate or exposes federal overreach, the globalist infrastructure was designed to quietly choke their voice out of the algorithms without ever having to face an American court. The second half of this globalist shakedown is the war on our domestic economy disguised as environmental justice and financial reform. When you read the chapters of these UN pacts regarding transforming global governance and sustainable development financing, the academic jargon is dense, but the underlying mechanism is simple. It's A massive wealth transfer from the American middle class to the globalist institutions. They want to reform international financial structures to penalize nations that rely on traditional, reliable energy. They want to use global climate pacts to force independent families out of gas-powered vehicles, restrict traditional farming, and implement compliance frameworks that target the independent business owner. I'm watching a deliberate attempt to replace local self-governance with managed expertise. They want a society where a father running a local trucking company or a rancher trying to manage his own land isn't governed by the laws passed by his local representatives, but by ESG metrics and sustainability scorecards cooked up by bureaucrats in Geneva and New York. They despise the independent family because the family demands stability, property rights, and national borders. A borderless, globalist system allows unelected panels to dictate how your tax dollars are spent, how your energy grid is managed, and what your children are taught about our nation's heritage. But the silent majority is completely done pretending that these international bodies have any jurisdiction over the United States. Our rights are endowed by our Creator and secured by the Constitution, not a permission slip from the United Nations. The globalist handshake relies entirely on the passivity of the American citizen. They want you to believe that the global integration is inevitable, that national borders are outdated, and that you must surrender your autonomy to a panel of international experts to solve the world's problems. Don't buy into that illusion. The strength of this country has never come from international committees. It comes from the sovereignty of its citizens, the sanctity of the family, and the unshakable commitment to the truth. Keep your eyes on the data, reject their centralized mandates, and continue to stand firm for an America that is independent, sovereign, and free. Stand with me, support the mission, refuse the silence. Check us out at titdusa.com, and I'll see you next time.